Hi guys, welcome to another episode of my podcast, Inflating Moments with Viv. It was really nice having you guys all this while and supporting my channel. Thank you so much. And then I really want to applaud you guys that keep sending me your feedbacks. It's been wonderful. It's been a wow. Like your feedbacks are excellent. They're good. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here again. So I'm pleased and I'm so privileged to welcome you to the first day of April, the first day of the second quarter of the year. Welcome to this beautiful month of April. I welcome you and I pray that this month will be a very lovely one for you and all your heart desires will be fulfilled. And even in as much as we've come to the end of the first quarter of the year, just look through and know what you've been telling yourself you would achieve and you have not been able to achieve them. Just keep working on them little by little. Don't stress. Just work on them little by little. I promise you, just putting in effort every single day, you're going to achieve every of that. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. And with this second quarter of the year, I'm pleased to announce to you that we're now entering the health area of this podcast. So we're going to be talking about a lot of um health things, so many things on health that you've never really like thought of, like, so these really exist, or maybe you've heard of it but you've not really understood the concept around these topics we're going to be taking. They're going to be so detailed. It's going to give you the whole idea you've been looking for. So I'm pleased to announce to you today that we're going to be starting our health topics from today. And the first one we'll be taking is a very interesting one. Okay, so did you know that there is this health issue that when you have, you can actually be conscious of your environment. When I mean conscious of your environment, I mean you can see, you can make eye movements, you can hear, you sleep and wake up as usual. But then, of course, you can understand. When you hear, you understand. When people say things around you, you understand clearly what they're talking about. But then there are some things you cannot do. You cannot move any part of your body below your eyes. Yes, you can't. And then, of course, you cannot make facial expressions. No matter what you hear, you can't even say, oh, no, you can't do that. And then, you can't even swallow anything like you want to eat. You can't swallow. And then, of course, you can't like breathe normally on your own. Now, someone can quickly say, it's stroke. No, this is not stroke. This is like an advanced form. So, let's talk about the locked in syndrome. Very few people might have heard about the locked-in syndrome, which in this case is an area of your brain. There's this part of the brain we call the brain stem. It comprises of three major parts of the brain. We have the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla in the brain stem. But the part of the brain that is actually affected in this locked-in syndrome is the pons. The pons, from its name, is actually means a bridge. It connects the cerebellum to the medulla, and of course, it has these neuronal pathways running from the cerebrum down to the spinal nerves, the spinal cord, which now sends these neuronal pathways to all the body muscles. That is why once there is a damage, you cannot move any part of your body. Doesn't that sound interesting for you to find out more? Okay, let's go deeper. Now, cases that can actually push you into this severe form of stroke, which some people can call it a severe form of stroke, or locked-in syndrome, which we normally call the LIS. Cases, things that can actually push you into these is cases like ischemic stroke, or cases like hemorrhagic stroke. We also have other causes, but then let me quickly explain what ischemic stroke means. Ischemic stroke is when there is a blood clot in one of the blood vessels that supplies the brain, and then once there is a clot, there is no more supply of blood to the brain. So once there is this ischemic stroke, it exposes you to injury to the pons, and then it cannot occur. Then we have hemorrhagic stroke. There are some cases where the blood pressure in the brain just becomes extremely high, and then there is this severe cut of the blood of one of the arteries, and then that is the end. Blood starts flowing in the brain. As a result of bleeding in the brain, it can result to this LIS syndrome. Other things that can expose you to LIS syndrome is trauma to the pons. We also have infections of the pons. We also have tumor of the pons. Of course, we also have cases like substance misuse. That is why we always advocate do not misuse substances, because very few of us know the repercussion of these substances we misuse, or people misuse, not me. I don't misuse substances. So yeah, so like I was also saying, so these are the things that can actually expose you to it. Now there are different types of locked-in syndrome. There are three actually. The first one, we have the classical form, just like I explained. You can move only your eyes, you can think, you can hear, you can reason. Your cognitive abilities are just intact, but then you cannot move your facial muscles. You can't swallow, you can't move your body. And then we have the second one. We have the incomplete form. In the incomplete form, you're having sensations. You have your sensations and you can move certain areas of your body. That is like a minor form. And then we have the complete form of LIS. In the complete form of LIS, you have cases whereby the individual cannot even move the eyes, like can't even blink. It's not working. And then the individual is forced to only just be awake and just staring, just staring at everything. But you're just staring. You can hear, but you can't even communicate with your eyes because your cognitive abilities are still intact. But then your muscular movements, motor movements are all gone. So in cases like this, now some people might be wondering, can people with this ailment ever survive? Okay, I'm glad to announce to you that some of them actually survive. Those of them that make it out of the early stage of diagnosis actually survive, and they can live for up to like 10 to 20 years extra. But then there are things that they have to be dependent on. One, they have to be dependent on a tracheotomy that helps them for breathing. They have to be dependent on the gastrostomy tube that helps them to feed, because like I said, they don't swallow, they can't chew, so they've lost that ability. So they are dependent on these two things. And for those of them that have the ability to still move their eyes, especially those of them in the classical forms and the incomplete forms, they are being taught how to communicate with their eyes. Like, you roll your eyes to yes, you roll your eyes to no, and all that. So communication is basically with your eyes. So um now, having heard this, if you listen to everything I've said, you will find out that there's one major thing that leads to stroke. And that major thing, or that type of stroke, the stroke it leads to actually exposes you to ischemic type of stroke, or hemorrhagic type of stroke, which is high blood pressure. Please do well today to check your blood pressure. Check it as often as you can. Okay, people that are actually predisposed to this disease are people within the ages of 30 to 50. Why? Because we're going through different stress module every single day of our lives. We are exposed to stress. So in as much as you're exposed to stress, Nigeria is not the only stressful country. Every other place is stressful, but I know that what we pass through in Nigeria is actually a bit of hell. Sadly, but it's true. We pass through a lot in Nigeria. Most of our problems are things that we can actually solve if we had the normal facility, but we don't, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean you should expose yourself to things that would lead you to your early grave. So please do not misuse substances. Check your blood pressure as often as possible. And if you have any blood pressure related disease, do well do well to treat yourself always. Take your drugs as often as possible. Do not misuse them as well. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you've learned something new today. And please do well to share with your friends and your neighbors. Thank you. And I hope to see you next time on my podcast. I promise it will be regular this time. I love you. Take care. Have a blissful month. Mwah. Bye.